All right, so you are in Blackboard right now watching this video, and I want you to do the tutorial while listening to and watching my video. If you want to do a double screen where you have two things going at one time, what you're going to do is make sure that you're in both of the apps. So I'm going to bring in a photo and a Safari, okay? So if I go to, let's say, the photo, because I'm in Safari already, I'm going to pull up the bottom screen, and what I'm doing is looking for that toolbar that pops up, and then I'm going to choose the app that I want to drag in. So it's my Safari. I'm going to highlight it, and then I'm going to pull it in, and you can tell that it's sort of on top of this photo right now. And instead, I want to make it nice and tall where it fills up part of my screen, okay? And then here's where you can kind of adjust which screen you want to be larger and which screen you want to be smaller. So go ahead and try it out by bringing in two screens and seeing if it works. Come on back and I'll tell you which app to download and then which one to pair with your Blackboard tutorial. In the end, you're going to have the app Adobe Draw on the right, and you're going to have this tutorial that you're listening to on the left. So this is what your screen should somewhat look like after you're done trying it out. Today we're going to be downloading an app called Adobe Draw. So in your self-service, we are going to go ahead and search for an app called Adobe Draw. On the bottom, I'm going to hit the search button, and I'm going to go to Adobe Draw. So once you're done downloading, you're going to click on Adobe Draw. And it's going to have you ask, do you want to use Bluetooth? And you're going to say, I don't need Bluetooth. And then on the bottom, there is the white buttons, and it says continue with Google. When you continue with Google, it's going to say, are you sure? And you're going to continue. And your email address should pop up. If not, you are looking for your Apple ID email address. So I'm going to click on H. Walbert. And my password is hopefully saved in here. There it is. And we're officially in Adobe Draw. And then you're going to get these two ads. Go ahead and just exit out of those. Okay? At this point, you're going to click on the plus button to start a new project. And because we are going to try to learn how to use this app, it does not matter which kind of orientation you want, what kind of format, but because I just want something simple, I'm going to go with the square. Okay? All right. I do want you to walk through the basics on how to use this app if you have never used it before. So let's do it together. If you have not done it, it might be a good refresher for those of you that have done it. Okay? So working with brushes, it says tap on the brush to select. I see 5 different kinds of brushes, and when I click on it, it's going to change what kind of brush I use, okay? And then it says press and hold on the size button. The size button is that top button, and you're going to slide it up and down. So I'm holding on to that top button, and I'm sliding up and down, and this is basically the size of my brush. So it's going to be a pretty thick line. And it wants me to try it. So I'm going to go ahead and just do some doodling, okay? I'm noticing that the pressure, as I push harder with my finger, the line is actually getting a lot thicker. When I very lightly touch it, it's going to draw nice and light. Interesting. If we want to change the color, you're going to go ahead and click the bottom circle that says color. And you're going to get all these really great choices on what you want to select. I'm going to go ahead and select purple by clicking on it. And then I click out of it, and I can try to draw on top of it. There we go. It says tap on the brush again to go back and see more brushes. Don't worry about the opacity. That's that middle circle. You don't need to worry about how opaque or see-through something is. We just want it to be very, very dark and bold. We're going to go to, it says tap on the eraser to select. So if we tap on the eraser, we can erase a part of our drawing. So let's draw with our eraser. That's always fun to do in art class. Love drawing with our eraser. And it says that it is complete, which is great. So at this point, what I want you to do is just play around with your brushes. I want you to double click on them. I want you to change maybe the color. Play around with what the different colors there are. This is set for color wheel. But if you click on those 3 buttons on the right hand side, it almost looks like a balloon shape. You can choose a different color scheme. So if I go to shades, it'll give me sort of like all the options I have for just that one color. So all just darker colors of what I chose. Okay. If I go to, let's see, oh, you can tell that this brush right here is see-through, which is very cool. So that means the opacity is down, which is why that middle button, that middle circle right there, you can see that checkered pattern. If you hold it down with your finger and move it up and down, it changes how see-through it is. Okay, so we're going to keep it on very opaque because we want it to be nice and bold and not see-through at all. Okay, so go ahead and play around with those brushes. I want you to experiment. And then the other thing I want you to pay attention to today is the stack. So if you look at the upper right-hand side, there are 3 pieces of paper that are stacked on top of each other. Those are called layers. Layers are how we make digital art. So think of it as a collage. We always, on collages, we start with like a piece of paper on the table, right? And then we have to think about, okay, what are we going to glue and cut out to paste on top of it? So the bottom layer, the background, as you can see on the right-hand side, the background is always on the bottom, okay? And then you draw on your paper. You draw on the background. So then you have a draw layer on top of the background. If you want to add another layer, let's say you want to add a shape on top of this, you're going to go ahead and click the plus button, and you're going to go to draw layer, okay? The layers that are on top, that is what you're technically drawing on, right? So it's highlighted in orange right here. It's meant to help you kind of think of it as a digital collage. Anything that's on the top is what you are creating, okay? So for example, if I take a green and I color on top of it, right? I'm coloring on top of the last layer, okay? One other thing I want you to play around with is closing your shapes and holding it down. Okay, so once again, all I'm doing, go ahead and choose another color. I'm going to go ahead and choose just a doodle of, I don't know, something. As long as my shape is closed, I can hold it down and it will color in what is inside. Isn't that super cool? And you can color the whole thing in. This one just happens to have a lot of lines in it, which is why it's showing up the way that it is, but I actually kind of like it. And then on the right-hand side, that stack is when you turn it on and off by just touching it, that is what's going to appear and reappear. So the cool part is that you can hold down the layers and kind of flip-flop them to see what happens when you start to play around with moving the layers, like what looks better, that darker shape on top, or do you like the lines on top? Kind of cool, right? If I wanted to say change my background color, I could go to make sure that I'm on the background layer by touching it, and I'm going to go for a yellow, something that maybe will pop a little bit. If I hold down the background, it's not going to let me. So what I have to do is I have to close the shape. So if it doesn't work, what's going to happen is it's going to give you this no button. See that? No button. It says, nope, your shape is not closed. So if I pinch in and look at it, this shape is not closed. So I'm going to think about, okay, how am I going to close that shape? I could just use a black line, or since I want yellow, I could just color in, I could close this shape right here and give it a nice outline, just like that. And then if I hold down the button, it will fill in the background. Pretty cool, right? So really today is just about like exploring Adobe and trying to figure out how to work this app. It's a great tool for drawing digitally. and it gives you a lot more options than like Sketch of School and just the regular Google drawing that we sometimes do. Go ahead and upload your experiment to your Google Classroom, and part 2 will be all about shapes in Adobe.